Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and stared at the ceiling, asking yourself, is this really how it's going to be from now on? You know what I mean? The way things have changed. How your body doesn't respond the way it used to. How you feel tired sooner. How you might make excuses to avoid being close with your partner, telling yourself you're just too busy, too stressed, too old. But deep down, there's that quiet, gnawing fear that you've lost something you can't get back. That part of you is gone forever, that you're not the man you once were. I've been a doctor for over 35 years, working with men just like you here in Greenville. And I'll tell you the truth most won't. It's not just you. You're not broken, and you're not too old to change. I've seen men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s who came to me convinced their best days were over, who felt embarrassed, frustrated, even ashamed to admit what was really bothering them. They'd say things like, "Doc, I just don't feel like myself anymore." I want you to know you're not alone, and you don't have to accept that decline as inevitable. Because today, I'm going to share with you one of the most effective, natural approaches I've seen transform lives. Not through pills or empty promises, but by understanding how your body really works and giving it what it needs to heal itself. If you're here, I hope you'll stick with me. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss the next parts. And tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. I read every single one because this isn't just another lecture. It's a conversation. Now let's talk honestly about what's going on. We all know aging changes us. That's no secret. But what if I told you age isn't the only reason you feel the way you do? Most men think getting older automatically means losing energy, losing desire, losing function. That's what they've been told. They shrug and say, it's just age. But that's not the whole truth. Imagine your blood vessels like the pipes in your house. When you were 30, they were clear, wide open. Water, blood, flowed easily. But decades go by, and they clog up. They harden. They narrow. You'd never ignore a clogged pipe in your home. But most men ignore the clogging in their bodies. You see, the biggest threat to your energy, your memory, your ability to respond in the bedroom. It isn't just age. It's poor circulation. When blood can't move freely, oxygen can't get where it needs to go. Your brain feels foggy. Your muscles tire faster. Your intimate moments suffer. This is why men stop trying. Why they say no to closeness. Why they go to bed next to someone they love and feel like a stranger. And it's not just about sex. It's about connection. Because when you lose that part of yourself, you don't just lose physical pleasure. You lose confidence. You lose the warmth of holding someone without embarrassment. You lose that spark that made you feel alive. I've watched marriages slowly fade, not because people stopped loving each other, but because no one told them the truth about what was really going on. And here's the hardest part. Most men feel ashamed. They blame themselves. They think they're less of a man. I want you to hear me clearly. This is not your fault. Your body is changing, yes, but that change is something you can address. Because your body wants to heal. Your blood vessels want to open up again. Your heart wants to pump life into every corner of you. But you can't fix clogged pipes by ignoring them. And you sure can't fix them with a little blue pill that just forces blood in temporarily while ignoring the damage. I've seen men end up in the ER because no one warned them those pills don't heal. They only push your system harder than it can handle. What you need is to restore healthy circulation naturally, safely, gradually, because circulation isn't just about what happens between the sheets. It's about your entire health. It's about having the energy to do the things you love, the mental clarity to enjoy the moment, the confidence to hold your partner's hand without fear or shame. And yes, about feeling like a man again. You're not too old. You're not too far gone. And it's not too late. You can support your body in doing what it was always designed to do. Today is just the beginning. Because while most doctors might hand you a prescription and send you on your way, I want to help you actually fix the problem. And in the next part, I'm going to tell you about a patient who thought it was over for him until we made one simple change. A natural, practical change you can make too. So stay with me, because you deserve to feel needed, wanted, alive, and you can. You just have to take the first step. I want to tell you about a man named John. He was 67 when he came to see me. Big, strong-looking guy who used to work construction all his life. But when he sat down in my office that day, he looked smaller somehow. Not in size, but in spirit. He didn't even meet my eyes at first. He just stared at the floor and said quietly, "Doc, I think I'm losing my wife." I let him talk. He told me about how he'd started avoiding going to bed at the same time as her, how he'd make excuses, watch TV until she fell asleep, anything to avoid the humiliation of trying to be intimate and failing. He said he felt like he'd let her down. But more than that, he felt like he wasn't himself anymore. He wasn't broken. He was hurt. I could see it in the way his shoulders slumped, in the cracks in his voice. He was a man who spent his whole life providing for others, now terrified of admitting he needed help himself. When I asked him about his health, he told me the usual things. "I'm just getting older. I guess it's normal. My doctor says it's fine." But then he admitted something else. His hands and feet were colder than they used to be. He got winded on stairs. He was waking up in the middle of the night to pee 2 or 3 times. He felt foggy-headed, like he was in a daze half the day. You see, these weren't just random signs of getting older. They were the classic, quiet warning signs of poor circulation. I told John what I want to tell you now. Your blood flow is everything, not just for your heart, but for your brain, for your muscles, and yes, especially for your ability to have and maintain erection. If your blood vessels are like plumbing, his are getting clogged, hardened, narrowed. And here's the thing most men don't realize. Those little blue pills, they don't clear the pipes. They just crank up the water pressure temporarily. If the pipes are too blocked, the water doesn't get through at all. And worse, those pills can stress your heart if you're not careful. So I told John the same thing I've told hundreds of men over the years. Let's fix the pipes. I started him on a simple, natural shift, adding a specific ingredient to something he was already using every day: vinegar. You see, he was already taking a little apple cider vinegar each morning for his digestion. That's good. It can help with blood sugar and gut health. But we added something special, just a small amount of high-quality pomegranate extract. Now, you might wonder why. Because pomegranate is one of the most powerful natural nitric oxide boosters we know. It helps your blood vessels relax, opens them up, improves elasticity. You can think of it like using a gentle, natural pipe cleaner that doesn't just force things through, but actually restores flexibility to the walls. Pomegranate is packed with polyphenol and antioxidants that reduce inflammation, protect the delicate lining of your blood vessels, and boost your body's own nitric oxide production. That nitric oxide is the signal that tells your blood vessels to widen. No nitric oxide, no blood flow. It's that simple and that important. John started taking it daily. Just a small splash of high-quality pomegranate concentrate. No added sugars, mixed with a little apple cider vinegar and water. He called it his red tonic. Now, did it work overnight? Of course not. Nothing good ever does. But after 3 weeks, he said something changed. He woke up one morning and noticed he was harder than he'd been in months. He told me he didn't rush to use it. He just smiled, because it meant something else. His body was remembering. It was coming back online. A month later, he told me he felt warmer at night, more energy during the day, and most importantly, he and his wife started falling asleep at the same time again. He told me it was the first time he'd held her like that in almost a year. I want you to hear me clearly. This isn't magic. It's not a miracle. It's biology. Your body wants to heal. It wants to respond. You just have to give it what it needs. But that was only the beginning. Because while that first change helped clear the pipes, The second approach I showed John made sure the blood actually kept flowing. He was ready to try more. So I introduced him to a small daily ritual, breathing exercises. Now, some men scoff at this. They want a pill, a supplement, something they can swallow and forget about. But let me tell you, after 35 years in medicine, I've learned this truth. Your breath is one of the most powerful, free, overlooked tools for circulation you have. Most older men don't even realize their shallow breathing. Stress, years of holding your stomach in, posture changes, it all leads to breathing from the chest instead of the diaphragm. Shallow breathing keeps your body tense, your blood vessels constricted, your heart working harder. When you learn to slow down and breathe deeply from the belly, you send signals to your nervous system that it's safe to relax. And when your body relaxes, your blood vessels dilate. I taught John a simple method. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes before bed. Slow inhale through the nose to a count of 4. Hold for a moment. Long, slow exhale through the mouth to a count of 6 or 8. He laughed the first time I told him. He said, "Doc, I'm not some yoga guy." I said, "You don't have to be. You just have to be a man who wants to feel better." He tried it, and the results shocked him. He told me after 2 weeks he felt calmer. After a month, his wife asked if he'd change his medication because he was so much more present. The truth is, his blood pressure was dropping naturally. His circulation was improving. And when the time came to be close, he wasn't rushing. He wasn't panicking. He wasn't embarrassed. He was there, connected. I wish I could tell you this is rare. But the fact is, I've seen it over and over again. Men who thought it was too late rediscovering not just sexual function, but intimacy. Not just intimacy, but confidence. It starts with circulation, clearing the pipes, relaxing the system, giving your body the chance to do what it was built to do. That's what I want for you, because you deserve it, and because your partner deserves to have you back, fully, completely. But these 2 changes, they're just the beginning. I was shocked when I saw what happened after 10 days of the next method I'm going to share, because it didn't just help men respond, it helped them desire again. It reignited something deep inside them. If you want to hear about that, stay with me, because it only gets better from here. I was shocked when I saw what happened after 10 days of the next approach I shared with John. Because once we started clearing the pipes and calming the system, there was still one big problem left: desire. You see, circulation is critical, but desire, that spark in the mind, is just as important. Most men think libido fades just because of age, but in reality, there's a whole orchestra of hormones playing together. And as you get older, that music starts to get out of tune. Stress goes up, cortisol levels rise, testosterone dips. It's like trying to light a fire with wet wood. So I asked John one day, "How's your stress these days?" He just sighed. He told me he worried constantly about money, his health, whether his wife was happy, even about being a burden. And that, my friend, is poison to your desire. Stress doesn't just live in your head. It lives in your body. It tells your blood vessels to constrict. It kills nitric oxide. It raises blood pressure. It kills erections at their root. But most importantly, it turns off the part of your brain that feels desire. It's not that you don't want your partner. It's that your body doesn't feel safe enough to let that want through. I explained this to John. He looked at me and said quietly, "I thought I was just old. I thought I didn't love her like I used to." That broke my heart, because it wasn't true. He loved her desperately. He was just so full of fear, shame, and stress that his body had forgotten how to show it. So I taught him something simple. He started taking a natural adaptogen, ashwagandha. Now, before you roll your eyes at another so-called herbal cure, hear me out. I'm not talking about supermarket junk. I'm talking about clinically standardized extract, taken in the right dose every day. Ashwagandha has been used for centuries in Ayurvedic medicine to reduce cortisol. Lowering cortisol isn't just about feeling calmer. It's about giving your body permission to produce testosterone again. It's about telling your brain, it's okay to want. It's okay to connect. It restores the balance that aging and stress slowly destroy. John started with 600 milligrams a day. He told me he didn't feel much for the first few days. But around day 10, he called me. He said, "Doc, I don't know if it's the pills or what, but I feel like a teenager sneaking looks at my wife again." I laughed, because that's exactly what I hoped would happen. Not some raging, uncontrollable lust, but a gentle, welcome return of desire. The smile on his face, the teasing in his voice. That's what stress had stolen. And that's what lowering cortisol gave back. It wasn't about performance. It was about wanting again. That small change gave them something priceless. They started holding hands again. She would lay her head on his shoulder on the couch. He felt like a man again, not because of a pill that forced blood in one direction, but because he was relaxed, open, and connected. That's the part no one talks about. Sex isn't just a plumbing problem. It's a trust problem. It's hard to trust yourself, hard to let go, hard to be present when you're stuck in survival mode. Stress is like a wet blanket over desire. Ashwagandha helped lift that, and it did more. Because as his cortisol dropped, his sleep improved. He stopped waking up 4 or 5 times a night. He told me, "Doc, I'm dreaming again." That made me smile. Because good sleep restores testosterone, supports nitric oxide, improves mood. It's all connected. When he slept better, he had more energy to move. When he moved more, his circulation improved even further. And when blood was flowing and his stress was low, he found himself wanting to touch his wife. Not out of obligation, not out of desperation, out of genuine, warm connection. I want you to hear me, because I know men your age don't always like this part. We're taught to be strong, tough, but strength isn't about denying help. Real strength is knowing when to fix what's broken. Your body wants to heal. Your partner wants you back. You want to feel alive. You don't have to force it. You just have to allow it. That's why I recommend ashwagandha so often. Not as a magic pill, but as one more way to turn down the stress response that's been quietly killing your desire. Combined with circulation support from pomegranate and breathing, it becomes a powerful foundation for reclaiming intimacy naturally. But even that wasn't the end of John's story. Because once desire returned, there was something else I had to warn him about. And it's something most men get wrong. He was eager, excited, but he didn't realize there was one silent mistake that could ruin all our progress if he wasn't careful. And that mistake is what I'm going to tell you about next. Because it's the reason so many men sabotage their own success without even realizing it.